Students, welcome to Biowise with Aanchal. Now, today, not with the specific trend of what we were doing till last, that is question, answers, and discussion, upon a request of a student that the photosynthesis explanation is needed. So, on the request of that student, I have made this video in which we are going to explain the entire chapter to you in detail. Okay, so even important questions for the boards will be included. Stay tuned till the last to understand complete photosynthesis, and do not worry, the questions are going to be asked from the presentation, right? So, with this hope, let us proceed with the chapter. Before that, subscribe the channel if you have not subscribed, like and share with those who actually needs it. Okay, now let us proceed with the chapter. In photosynthesis, what we should know, okay, that is we should know the definition of photosynthesis, very, very important. The structure of stomata, raw materials of photosynthesis, why is leaf an photosynthetic organ, photosynthesis, the entire process, factors affecting photosynthesis, significance of photosynthesis, and certain experiments related to photosynthesis. Okay. Now, as we move ahead, you should know the entire process of photosynthesis requires sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. And these are the raw materials. Final product is glucose and oxygen, and along with it, little amount of water is also produced. So there is a difference in the reaction if you consider chemistry, where the net reaction is written, and the photosynthetic reaction. So in this, I'll give you the reaction. Now, this is the reaction. You can see here. What is photosynthesis? It's a very simple thing. If you know the reaction, you can easily write the definition. The process by which the green plants, very important because chlorophyll is must for photosynthesis, by which the green plants producers use energy from the sun to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose in the presence of the green colored pigment called chlorophyll is called photosynthesis. So the reaction says 6 molecules of carbon dioxide reacts with 12 molecules of water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll gives you glucose, oxygen, and again 6 molecules of water. Children, remember, this is the only chemical equation that you're going to write for the process of photosynthesis. No other equation is given marks. Okay. Photosynthesis में chlorophyll and sunlight is must. If you don't write this, you don't get a single mark. This question can be asked for 1 mark or 2 mark. If it is for 1 mark, then the complete reaction, write 1 mark. Anything missing or anything wrong is 0. And for 2 marks, you have reactants plus sunlight and chlorophyll as 1 mark. And another 1 mark is sunlight and chlorophyll and products. So sunlight and chlorophyll is very important for this definition. And this mode of nutrition where producers utilize solar energy, that is autotrophic nutrition. So photosynthesis basically forms the foundation of all the food chains. Structure of stomata, you can see that where is the location of stomata? Stomata is located on the epidermal surface of the leaf. That is the outermost surface of the leaf. Mainly concentrated on the lower side in the dicots, but uniformly distributed on both the sides in monocots. So when location of stomata is asked, it has to be mentioned as on the epidermal surface of the leaf or on epidermis of the leaf. Gases are exchanged through the small openings on the leaves called stomata. It is also called stoma. Location on the epidermal surface of the leaf generally concentrated more on the lower surface of the leaf in the dicots. I already told this. Now this is the structure of chloroplast of the stomata. Now you see here there is a thick line here. Okay, that means it is double membrane. Do not make a flower. Excuse me, do not make a flower of it. Okay, you have guard cells where inner lining has to be thick, outer lining has to be thin, then you get marks for the drawing. Then the neighboring cells should be a plant cell, so you should have a plasma membrane and a cell wall and the nucleus in the guard cells, and the opening is called the stoma or the stomata. The chlorophyll, now there are 9 types of chlorophyll. Out of that, chlorophyll A and B are very common and they take the line, you can see the wavelength, okay? You can see blue and red are the wavelengths that are very much, what to say, they are required for the process of photosynthesis. Or you can say rate of photosynthesis is high in these wavelengths. Okay, that is your blue and red and chlorophyll A and B. Now there are certain theories for the opening and closing of stomata. The first one is the potassium ion theory, and the second one is the sugar concentration theory. In the potassium ion theory, you can see that the potassium ions are involved in the process of opening and closing of stomata. And sugar ion theory, it is sugar. Now, here the concept that you have studied in chapter 4, that is osmosis, plays a very important role. If the concentration of potassium ions increases in the guard cells, understand, if the potassium concentration increases in the guard cells, the concentration in the guard cells will increase and it becomes hypertonic. So water from the neighboring cells will start entering into the guard cells, making it fully turgid and swollen. Okay, so that opens the stomata. At night, what happens? The concentration of potassium ion reduces. Understood? When the potassium ion reduces, because of lack of ATP. Okay, I'll explain you the entire process. Then it becomes hypotonic and water starts moving out of the guard cells. So that time the guard cells becomes flaccid and the stomata closes. Similarly, during the daytime when the first light hits the leaf and sugar is synthesized in the guard cells, sugar concentration increases in the guard cells, making it hypertonic again, and that leads to the water intake in the guard cells, and the guard cells becomes turgid. At night, when there is no photosynthesis, sugar is all utilized, the guard cells again becomes hypotonic as compared to the neighboring cells and loses out water, becomes flaccid, and the stomata closes. This is the basic funda for the closing and opening of stomata. Hypertonic condition, if it is formed in the guard cells, stomata becomes turgid and opens up. If hypotonic condition prevails in the guard cells, then it becomes what to say, flaccid, and the stomata closes. This is your opening and closing of stomata potassium ion theory. The main concept here is movement of potassium ion controls the opening and closing of stomata. Stomatal openings, potassium ions enter the guard cells. Then there is stomatal opening. Water enters by osmosis because of the increase in concentration of potassium ions, and guard cells becomes turgid and the stomata opens. Stomatal closing, potassium ion moves out, water leaves, result the guard cells become flaccid. Energy is an active process because ATP is utilized. You know that in light reaction, ATP is produced. That ATP is required for pumping in potassium ions in the guard cells. Understood? So this is basically occurs in light. So in light, ATP is synthesized, photophosphorylation. Correct. So it is accepted theory. Now, there's an older theory which is called the sugar ion exchange theory, where conversion of starch and sugar controls the opening. Stomatal opening, starch changes to sugar, or you can say for first photosynthesis, sugar is synthesized in the guard cells. Osmotic pressure increases, water enters, stomata opens, and so opposite things happen. And finally, it also depends on photosynthesis because of the formation of glucose in the guard cells. Okay, and it is older theory, but still it is accepted. What is the raw material for the process of photosynthesis? You can see here the raw material is carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, and chlorophyll. Please remember, this is so basic, right? Next one, leaf as a photosynthetic organ. Why is leaf a photosynthetic organ? Now, the reason is all the leaves are arranged in such a way that they receive maximum sunlight, and the part which receives the sunlight has higher concentration of chlorophyll, and the part which is away from the sunlight has lower concentration of chlorophyll. That is why you can observe the different color in the guard cells. Okay, different color in the different color of the leaves, not in the guard cells, different color of the leaves, that is darker color on the upper side which absorbs the sunlight, and lighter color on the lower side where you have lots of stomata. Now it contains chlorophyll inside the chloroplast, that is apt for making food for the plant. Contains minute pores called stomata for the gaseous exchange. And leaves are well arranged to receive maximum sunlight. Even if you see conifers or in colder places, you see the trees are like conical. The reason for the conical tree shape is that each and every part of the plant will get enough of sunlight. right? Imagine a banyan tree in a place where the sunlight is less. Obviously, the lower parts will not get enough sunlight. But if a conical tree is there, then from top to bottom, if the sunlight is slanting, then the entire plant will get the sunlight. So that is how the leaves have adapted themselves, right? Now, the definition of photosynthesis, this is to be very important. Please write down. You have already written that was to combine all the reactants and products. Photosynthesis is a process by which living parts of cells containing chlorophyll convert carbon dioxide and water into food substances, that is glucose and starch, using light energy, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. Okay. Next one. This is the reaction you have already done. Write down this. This is the only reaction that you're going to write in the exam if it is asked. And generally, it is asked very frequently. Okay, the photosynthetic reactions are asked. What is photolysis? Photolysis is defined as splitting of water molecules into hydrogen ions and oxygen in the presence of sunlight. Okay, now this is the reaction. You can see here water. Photon is very important because it happens in the presence of sunlight. So hydrogen ions, electrons, and oxygen is produced. Oxygen is a byproduct of photolysis of water. So which molecule gives you oxygen? It is water molecule. This is the structure of chloroplast. You can see it is a double membrane structure filled with a liquid which is called stroma. Stroma is Stroma, not stoma. Then you have granum. Granum is a pile of thylakoid. Consider thylakoid as coin. If you have a stack of coin, it is called a granum. Many stack of coins are called grana. And then at the thylakoid, walls of thylakoid contains chlorophyll, which helps in absorption of light. So thylakoid is a site of light reaction, and stroma is a site of dark reaction. Okay, another name for dark reaction is Calvin cycle or C3 cycle. Okay, because the first compound formed is a 3-carbon compound. Anyway, that is too much for the syllabus of standard 10. Now, light reaction is a reaction which happens in the presence of sunlight. It requires light because here the first step is activation of chlorophyll and the second step is photolysis of water, which is followed by photophosphorylation. That is, water is the reactant here, photolysis of water, and the product is ATP. ATP is what? Adenosine triphosphate. Photophosphorylation is a process by which ATP is produced in photosynthesis. Phosphorylation is the production of ATP. NADPH, hydrogen ion release during the process of photolysis of water, is used to reduce NADP to form NADPH, which is again utilized in the dark reaction during the process of Calvin cycle, in one of the steps of Calvin cycle. And oxygen gas is released as a byproduct. Okay, now this is what light reaction is all about. You can see here, light reaction photolysis of water takes place. Water splits into hydrogen ions, electrons, and oxygen. Oxygen is released as a gas. Hydrogen ion is required for the conversion of NADP to NADPH, and electrons are required for the process of phosphorylation, that is photophosphorylation. So chlorophyll traps sunlight and activates the process of light reaction. Photolysis is defined as splitting of water molecules into hydrogen ions, oxygen in the presence of light. The definition is very, very important. If you want, pause the video here, write the definition, and then move ahead. Write the reactions. Okay. Now, the step of dark reaction. Now, one thing I forgot, light reaction is also called photochemical reaction because here photolight is used and it's the chemical reactions that is taking place. Similarly, the dark reaction, the another name for dark reaction is biosynthetic reaction. In biosynthetic reaction, you have the formation of glucose by the process of polymerization. Starch is also formed. Okay, so conversion of glucose into starch and formation of glucose. So glucose is the end product of dark reaction. And here utilization of ADP and NADPH in the process of fixation of carbon dioxide into glucose. So this happens. Now utilization of ATP hona chahiye. Here it should be ATP, not ADP. Okay, utilization of ATP. Okay, here it should be utilization of ATP. Right. So here you can see NADPH is the process of fixation of carbon dioxide. This is actually the 3-step process of carbon fixation, not there in your syllabus, but You just know that ATP is utilized to produce ADP in this process, and glucose is produced as a byproduct here. Okay. So here a carbon dioxide is used and glucose is produced. Fine. Next one, photophosphorylation, the process by which ATP is synthesized from the ADP and inorganic phosphate in the presence of light is called photophosphorylation. Pause the video, write the definition. Mark my words, these definitions are very important. Then you have polymerization, the process of conversion of many simpler and smaller molecules into a complex, bigger molecule is termed as polymerization. Here, glucose molecule, n number of glucose molecule is converted into starch. Okay, n number of glucose molecule is converted into starch by the process of polymerization. Destarching is a process of removal of starch by keeping the plant in dark for around 24 to 48 hours for the experiments related to photosynthesis. Now, these are certain important definitions. Now, photosynthesis summary, if you want to take, write down, please. The definition is asked in the difference is asked in the examination. In light reaction, ATP, NADPH, water is consumed and oxygen is produced. So, ATP, NADPH, and oxygen is produced, and water is photolyzed. In dark reaction or Calvin cycle, sugar is produced, that is, glucose is produced, carbon dioxide is consumed, and again ADP and NADP are recycled so that they can again go into the thylakoids for the process of dark reaction, light reaction. Okay. In light reaction occurs in the grana, you should write thylakoid in your exam. If question is asked that what is the 1 minute. Yes. So here instead of grana, it will be better if you write thylakoids. Okay. If you write thylakoids, that will be a better thing. Fine. Thylakoids. So instead of grana, thylakoids, light reaction happens. And in dark reaction, it occurs in the stroma of the chloroplast. Then you have, it occurs only in the presence of sunlight, obviously, but dark reaction can happen in the presence as well as in the absence of sunlight. It doesn't happen in dark. Sunlight is not needed. It is light independent reaction. It is not light dependent like the first reaction. It is light independent reaction, right? Then end products are oxygen, ATP, NADPH, and end product is glucose. Photolysis of water takes place in the light reaction, and photolysis of water is not the process in dark, but carbon dioxide fixation is a step that happens in the dark reaction. Okay, so this much if you know, it's more than enough. Next one, from where does the oxygen come? Now you know that oxygen, we say plant trees and all. The trees contribute only around 25% of the total oxygen present in the atmosphere. Marine microbes contribute 50%. So our ocean health is very important to maintain a good health of Earth, right? Then there are two molecules which has oxygen, water and carbon dioxide. Now you know that water is photolyzed during the light reaction. That is the first step in the light reaction of photosynthesis. And carbon dioxide is fixed in the process of dark reaction. So according to you, from where the oxygen comes from? The correct answer is water. The oxygen comes from water molecule. That is splitting of water molecule in the presence of sunlight. You should know this, sugars in photosynthesis. Glucose or fructose is produced in the leaves by the process of photosynthesis. Sucrose is produced in the phloem during translocation. That is, sugar is transported in the phloem in the form of sucrose. And it is stored in potato or any cereals or any part of the plant in the form of starch. So you should know glucose, sucrose, and starch are the different forms of sugar present in the plant. Okay. Next one is the factors affecting photosynthesis. These are the factors affecting water, chlorophyll, and sunlight. They affect and carbon dioxide and temperature. When you talk about the rate, you can see light intensity or water concentration or chlorophyll. Initially, there is a rise in the rate of photosynthesis and then it becomes gradually flat. That is, other factors become limiting, so photosynthesis becomes constant. Similarly, carbon dioxide, there is the initial rise in temperature, and once you reach the concentration more than 0.03% of carbon dioxide, then the rate of photosynthesis starts dropping because stomata closes. Okay. So here the after that the peak, there will be a fall in the process of in the rate of photosynthesis. Temperature, there is an optimum temperature that is around 25 to 35 degrees centigrade. In that temperature, the rate of photosynthesis is maximum. After that, the rate of photosynthesis drops because the enzymes and the chlorophyll gets denatured after the increase in the temperature. Now remember, till the optimum temperature, for every 10-degree rise in temperature, the rate of photosynthesis doubles. Okay? Like 25 to 35 degree, if you go in for the rate of photosynthesis, the rate of photosynthesis doubles. Okay? So keep that in mind. For every 10-degree rise in temperature, the rate of photosynthesis doubles. Now, why is photosynthesis important? It is food for all and oxygen for all. It is because of photosynthesis only that the living organisms can survive. Because photosynthesis forms the foundation of all the food chain. Because each and every food chain begins with a producer. And it is a plant or any organism which contains chlorophyll, which can photosynthesize, becomes the first level where the first level of the food chain. Understood? So it is food for all and oxygen for all. Oxygen is a byproduct of photosynthesis, which is consumed by all the organisms, plants, and animals for the process of respiration. Then, so photosynthesis for all, oxygen for all, and carbon dioxide and oxygen balance is the significance of the process of photosynthesis. There are certain experiments, we have already talked about destarching. So for any experiment to be performed on photosynthesis, the first step is to destarch the plant. The plant has to be kept in dark for around 24 to 48 hours so that whatever stored starch in it is gets over. Okay. After that, what happens? The plant is taken out and is allowed to photosynthesize with whatever setup you have done. In this case, we have to test the presence of starch. So the destarched plant is taken out and then it is kept in the sunlight for 2 hours. Then any one leaf is plucked and it is first boiled in water. Boiling in water kills the cells. So the cells no more photosynthesize. Then they treat with ethanol. Ethanol boiling is always done by keeping the test tube in the water bath because ethanol is very inflammable substance. Okay. So what does ethanol do? Ethanol bleaches away the chlorophyll. It dissolves the chlorophyll and removes the chlorophyll. So the leaf becomes pale in color, which can show you the color change when iodine is added. And when iodine is added, the if starch is present, the color will change to blue black. No other color, please. Blue black. That is positive starch test gives blue black coloration and negative starch test do not make it colorless. You cannot write colorless. You have to write it remains brown. The color of iodine is brown, so the negative starch test, the pale yellow leaf or the pale leaf remains brown. Understood? We'll see the other experiments to show that light is important for photosynthesis. Now here this plant is first destarched by keeping in dark for around 24 to 48 hours, and when it is taken out to be kept in the sunlight, a dark paper is clipped on its leaf. When this leaf is plucked and the starch test is performed on it, you'll find that the leaf which is exposed to the sunlight will show blue-black color, and this will remain the pale blue color or will remain brown. Okay, so this will show the iodine will remain brown in color. Okay, do not write colorless. Okay, so this is you can see here leaf attached. You can see the area of the leaf affected with iodine and here unaffected with iodine. That is, iodine retain its color. It does not change the color of the leaf to blue black. The blue black coloration confirms the presence of starch. So here you should know the function of why the leaf is boiled in water. What is the function of ethanol? Then what is the function of iodine? What is positive starch test? What is negative starch test? Moving to the next, to show chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis, here we use variegated leaf. What is a variegated leaf? The leaf with different colorations, especially white and green. Now, in variegated leaves, if you see that the part which is green will give you the blue-black coloration, but the part which is white will not give you blue-black coloration, showing that there was no photosynthesis occurring in the absence of chlorophyll. So, chlorophyll is must for the process of photosynthesis. So, if a question is asked on variegated leaf, they are inquiring about the importance of chlorophyll for the process of photosynthesis. There is food chain. Now, a food chain is a linear sequence of organisms in an ecosystem through which nutrients and energy are transferred in the form of food as one organism eats the another. It illustrates the who eats whom relationship and the dependency of different species on each other for survival. This is the best definition that I could give you. So you are requested to pause the video here and write the definition. Here is an example of a food web. It's not a food chain. Food chain is a linear chain. But here there are so many linear chains which are mixed with each other. So here this is called the food web. In the food web, you can see the producers are the first level, which is the grass can be eaten by the grasshopper, grass can be eaten by the rabbit, the grass, right? The carrot can be eaten by the rabbit, grain can be eaten by the mouse. So this is the tropic level first, where you have producers. Then you go to the primary consumers, you go to the secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, and so on. Okay. So who eats whom relationship, you have to remember. This question is generally asked to arrange in order. So you should know what always the lowest one will be a producer and the topmost will be a carnivore. Yes. Now here you can see here there are so many. The penguin is eaten by leopard seal. Penguin is also eaten by whales. This is an aquatic food web. Okay. So this question, penguin and seal wala question has come in your specimen paper of 2026. Okay. Blue whale uh, also consumes the different animals. You can see here. Phytoplanktons, seaweeds, right? The seaweeds are photosynthetic. So they are consumed by the crabs. Crabs are eaten by the squids. Squids by the penguin and the seal. By then they are been eaten by the whales and so on. There is this. There is a energy level here where you can talk about the different energy level. Here, 10% energy is transferred to the next level. Okay, and this is 10% energy rule. So this 10% energy rule you should keep in mind. Okay, that happens in the food chain. Moving to the next, that is the carbon cycle. The carbon cycle is a series of biochemical processes by which carbon compounds are interchanged among the biosphere, geosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere of the Earth. Now, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, you know that carbon dioxide plays a very important role in maintaining the Earth's temperature. The actual percentage of carbon dioxide is 0.03%, and if by any chance the concentration increases in the atmosphere, it leads to global warming and greenhouse effect that we studied in the pollution chapter, right? So here the carbon dioxide has to be retained in a specific amount in the atmosphere. How is that done? It is done by the process of photosynthesis and respiration. And carbon dioxide is also added up into the atmosphere naturally by volcanic eruptions and all, and also by forest fires or any kind of combustion that is taking place. At the same time, these processes utilize oxygen, right? Then all the molecules or the dying things, they are being consumed by the decomposers and all. So finally what is being released in the atmosphere is utilized by us, goes into the earth, and again it comes back into the atmosphere. This is the carbon cycle. Okay, you should know it. It's not asked much, but you should know about it, what happens in this. Okay, so this is all for the process of photosynthesis. A very short and crisp video is being made to make you understand the entire chapter. Still, if you have any doubt, put it in the comment section and let me know your problem so that it can be solved. Exam is very clear, no, it's very near, right? So stay connected with Biowise. The PYQ questions will also be solved so that it helps you to understand. Now it will be better if you start solving certain questions so that you understand how much you can score. Okay. So now practice well, children. Practice, practice, practice. That only makes you perfect. So keep on practicing, study well, all the best, and stay connected with Biowise. Happy learning. Thank you.